Good day, everybody. Good day and welcome. Welcome to the March 2015 call/video. Welcome to the call. My name is Thomas Kuster. I am the author and the presenter of the following programs: Partners for Life, The Stages of Love, and new for 2015 is The Next Best Version. And the next best version includes the next best version of your couple, where that is appropriate. The next best version of yourself, always appropriate. The next best version of your life, always appropriate. In 2014, December, I launched the 2015 campaign, if you will, a declaration. And I declared the year 2015 of creating the next best version of ourselves. And I'm excited that you've chosen to take that on and to join me. So what is creating the next best version of yourself? So how I've made this accessible for all of us is that I worked on what I call core competencies. And there are 6 core competencies that I designed and taken seriously, without a doubt, you will end up with the next best version of your couple, yourself, and your life, taking these on seriously. This video is for anyone who's watching. It doesn't matter if you've seen any of the previous work or not, but the January call and the February call are both posted and available for your viewing. This one will add value no matter having the previous calls or not. So in January, I distinguished the first core competency, which is self-awareness. And then last month, February, I launched the second core competency, which is self-discipline. This month, we are distinguishing the third core competency, and that core competency is discernment. So what is discernment? Discernment is the ability to obtain sharp perception, the ability to judge well. It's considered a virtue. It's the ability to grasp and comprehend obscure and not well known, or at least not well known to most people. So for the next 4 weeks, the next month between this call and the April call, I'm asking you to develop discernment. And you're going to develop discernment around 3 very specific areas. The first area, just include the ring, okay? The first area is your emotions. The second area is your true self. And the third area is true love. So again, 3 areas: emotions, your true self, and true love. So now let's dig into your emotions. An organization called HeartMath. It's a nonprofit organization that researches the heart and heart communication. They distinguish emotions as the language of the heart. Their scientific research has determined that the heart is a kind of brain. It's made up of over 70% neurons. The researchers and scientists at HeartMath have determined that the heart sends far more information to the brain than the brain ever sends to the heart. It's highly intelligent, and in fact, emotion travels faster than thought. The heart also radiates an electromagnetic frequency measurable up to 3 feet currently outside the body. It's believed to go much further, but currently that's what we can actually measure, given the instruments that are available today. While the brain only measures about 1 inch. Take a look. No matter what you're after, ultimately, it's emotion. The feelings that that thing or person provides that you're really after. You and I are driven by emotion. Though emotion, feelings, and intuition have no language. Emotions are the rewards of life. Whatever you say you want, ultimately what you're after is the emotion. You're not after the car. You're not after the job, the house, the title like president, vice president, the spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. You're after the emotions those bring or might bring. Now, our culture has people either all emotionally driven or emotionally resistant. Most of us are not grounded clearly in the heart space and the brain space, but that's what's needed. You and I must discern our emotions. What is there to discern? Well, begin by acknowledging your feelings, your emotions, and your intuition as the language of the heart. Acknowledge that they are critical to having a wholeness to your life, a wholeness to your relationships. There are no words, there's no verbal expression. Therefore, this has to be applied by the brain. We need a brain-heart connection, a synchronization, if you will. We call this at Heart Math coherence, an aligning, if you will, of the physical, the emotional, mental, and spiritual domains. You and I want to identify emotion, discern emotions that deplete energy, and discerning emotions that in fact renew energy. Because you and I are all energy and we all share the same energy field. And I think you'll agree that having a renewed energy source within us is way more powerful in getting us to the next best version of ourselves. While going around with depleting emotions, that is, depleting energy, will certainly be a roadblock. So let's take a look at what emotions clearly rob you of energy. Emotions like anger, frustration, anxiety, sadness, anxiousness, shame, and fear, pity, envy, cruelty. That's just to name a few, but I think you'll agree that these certainly and clearly are depleting energy emotions. That is, emotions that literally rob you and I of energy. While at the same time, other emotions like joy, excitement, passion, satisfaction, fulfillment, trust, anticipation, surprise, friendship, peacefulness, kindness, love, and gratitude, all of these emotions, all of these are emotions that when experienced build up our energy and our resilience. Per heart math, resilience is the capacity to bounce back from challenging moments, times of stress, upsets. One of the things that I do in my personal practice is I train and provide people as a certified coach with heart math, working with you through exercises and techniques that have been successfully proven to literally take you from someone whose emotions are 100% dictated by circumstance and your environment to actually bringing forth renewable emotions on demand. That is a kind of transformation for all of us. This is real power. Anthony Robbins says the highest power for a human being is to take control of his state. What state could he possibly be talking about? Your emotional state. And it all begins with being able to discern your emotions and not necessarily connect them to what's happening, but rather connect them to the source of energy that you are and how they either deplete or renew, and be committed to training yourself or getting trained in any of my certified coaching sessions in how to renew and raise your level of coherence and resilience. For information on any of my coaching packages in this regard or any of the coaching I do, which I'll talk about later, email me at thestagesoflove@gmail.com. thestagesoflove@gmail.com. Now, let's move on into the second area, and that area is your true self. I guess the question would be, do you think your life is being run by your true self? Your true self is innately talented in motivating, coordinating, and guiding all your sub-personalities, your sub-selves, your parts, if you will, like talented members of an orchestra, a sports team, a classroom. Who is running your life? When one or more of these sub-characters distrust and or disable your true self, they become a false self, dominating those moments of your existence. This is generally the result of surviving low nurturing childhoods, but I want to say more about that. See, much of our behavior is need driven, while the rest of your behavior is primal instinct. See, you and I act and behave to reduce our discomfort. Avoid pain, we go towards pleasure, all perceived by the individual. So take a moment and just see for yourself. Your daily life is not being run by your true self. And one needs to be able to discern his true self from the false self. Some common characteristics or behaviors of the true self are being alert, being awake, being realistically optimistic, being focused, clear, centered and calm, peaceful, if you will. With the true self in charge, you usually have a wide angle focus. You have a balancing for long and short-term goals. Let me say that again. You have a balancing of long and short-term payoffs. You're appreciative, you're grateful, and you're genuine. You're able to forgive yourself and others, and you seldom give double messages. Now, there's a lot more behavior traits that would identify the true self, but these are enough for you to notice when your true self is leading. And now we'll take a look at some false self traits and characteristics of behavior. Distracted, perhaps confused and fuzzy. You may not be very optimistic. In fact, you might be pessimistic, indecisive, worried. You might find yourself sometimes or often upset, angry, guilty, ashamed. You will find yourself usually seeking immediate gratification, and you're often impatient, impulsive. There might be some dishonesty, some denial and difficulty in giving and receiving real love. So distinguishing between the true self versus the false self is important as we fulfill on our declaration for 2015. Work done by Richard Schultz. I think it was early 80s, might have even been late 70s, but for sure around 80, okay? He distinguished some work called inner family systems. He showed that you and I are not a personality. You know, when you refer to me or you refer to I, referring to yourself, you consider yourself a personality. Later, Peter Gerlach put together a training for therapists and coaches on this topic. It's been determined that you are not a personality, but are in fact multiple personalities as a normal human being. What are the thoughts that come up for you in your mind when I say that? You and I have only been faced with extreme multiple personalities, says Peter. Excuse me. In fact, most cases, they were multiple personality disorders that were sensationalized in books or films like Sybil, The Three Faces of Eve, to name only two. There's many. You and I, have never stopped to consider that it's actually normal to have multiple personalities. You see, the extreme makes it makes it hard to consider. But if you pull way back from the extreme, you might see that the brain is simply designed to actually create multiple personalities based on what was happening around us during our formative years. I refer to this in my work as the bruises of the emotional body. There's the initial bruise, which is the first time you experience being betrayed, being neglected, not being enough. It's this first time that you actually consider something outside of yourself determining who you get to be or not. It's the initial bruise. And then from that point on, there are bruises that occur throughout our childhood. Some are extreme, really. Like for some people, some extreme bruising. For others of us, it was very simple bruising, but they're your bruises. And when they're your bruises, by design, the brain creates a little personality around that bruise. You see, our caregivers, that is your parents or the adults that were around you to help raise you up, to help guide you, unintentionally provided too little emotional and spiritual nurturing. Too little for their kids and too little for each other. And they haven't known that. And if they have known that, they haven't known what to do about it. Very young personalities, children, automatically adapt to too little emotional and spiritual nurturing by forming personality parts. Peter Gerlach refers to these as subselves. In my work, I'll refer to them as characters. These parts or characters range from very mild to very extreme in adults and kids, and they are formally called the inner family. Some people might want to refer to them as the committee, the squad, the troop, the cast, the team, the classroom, the group. You call these me, but in reality, it is a blend of all these sub-characters. In the coaching that I provide, I work with people on the inner family, and we distinguish, first of all, your inner kids. We all have 4 to 6 inner kids. You could have as many as 15 personalities, But the other personalities have something to do with the kids. This is the work we do. These are the kids that got developed through the emotional bruising of the emotional body as we grew up. Very natural and common bruising all the way up to serious abusive bruising. The projected image that you are is a blend of those selves, and when it's in leadership, and many times it is, just take a look at what I said the false self, true self looks like. These guys make up your false self. We are all emotionally wounded to some degree, and there are specific emotional wounds that are persistent when the false self reality takes over. And it only takes over to guard and protect the inner family, the team, the committee. It produces up to 6 inner wounds. One of these wounds is reactionary, where your life is dominated by being a reaction to things and people, circumstances. The second is guilt and shame. For some, it's excessive. The third are primal fears like abandonment. Then there's number 4, which are trust issues. Number 5, reality distortions. And finally, number 6, difficulty in bonding, committing, having love. So you get the idea, the false self. When I take a look at the inner children, I distinguish some of my own, and I figured I'd share those with you to give you some idea of what these personalities might look like so that it's not so way out there. I distinguish mine, and they are the worried child, the anxious child, the dreamer, the tormented child, the excited and delighted child, the lusty child, the shame child. Those are a few. You could probably relate to some of those yourself. Until they start to get distinguished, however, they are just me. And then as you distinguish them, you start to see where they actually rule parts of your life that you might want to now take control of. That is your true self, which will transform something and give you more of what you want in life. All personal and social problems are a conflict of clashing needs. Your internal conflicts are all a result of these internal personalities, these parts, these characters, having clashing needs. An example, you're in a relationship. I need rest, while you need to dance. That's quite a conflict. Opposing values. Conflict resolution and problem solving are the process of identifying, asserting, and filling each other's needs well enough. Nurturing means to fill needs. People run by false selves are too distracted by inner conflicts and reacting to others' behaviors to notice or understand what's really going on inside them. So another program that I offer in my coaching packages is inner family work. The work to distinguish your false self, where these personalities, characters, take over, and what you really want and who you really want to be can't show up. Very powerful work, and it's extraordinary for couples. That's enough about that as far as the couples. We'll talk more if you decide to do some of that work, because it becomes very personal and it's very individual. Again, the stages of love at gmail.com to inquire on coaching packages. So the question becomes, who is running your life? Who is running your relationship? Who are you in relationship with? We must discern who's running our lives. You aren't conscious of who's usually running your life. Is it the reliable, stable self? True self? Or the highly camouflaged, well-meaning but limited and impulsive, false self. Learning to discern and empower your true self leads to a well-balanced inner family, and a well-balanced inner family has you express more of your true self-behavior traits, a happier life. And then finally, the third area, true love. Clearly, if you discern and maximize the potential of the first two areas, then true love becomes more clear, more available, and more desirable. Tony Robbins distinguished 4 kinds of love. I like this. The first level of love is baby love. We all easily love a baby, especially when it's your own. But does the baby love you? It sure seems to, as long as you feed it, rock it, sing to it. So put in adult terms, I will love you as long as you provide me with what I want and what I need. Otherwise, I will scream like a baby. Sound familiar to anyone? The second level of love, horse trading love. I'll provide for you as long as you provide for me, and it has equal value. There's a hidden accounting going on. As soon as something's out of balance, no more love. Then there's real love. Real love goes like this. I love because I love. I love you because I love you. That's real love. And that's real love and accessible only when inner wounds are healed and the inner family has harmony. Self-love is dominant in those times, and loving outside of myself is a natural expression. The false self cannot comprehend real love. This is only available for the true self. The highest level of love is spiritual love. This is a Gandhi kind of love, agape kind of love. Viktor Frankl had this kind of love. Jesus, Buddha, etc. Those kinds of love where you can authentically love your enemies and anything that you are experiencing. I believe in true love. I believe in love being expressed, love being experienced, and love being expanded wherever I am. And I think you do too. We have an access. We have the potential. The question is, how hungry are you? Are you willing to do the necessary digging and looking, the uncovering? Are you willing to take on the core competencies we've done so far? Self-awareness, self-discipline, and now discernment. Over the next 4 weeks, I'm asking you to practice and develop discernment, specifically in these 3 areas. Coaching is available by emailing me at thestagesoflove@gmail.com. I have packages available that reduce the hourly rate. I have an hourly rate, and I also have what I call a power shot, which is a 20-minute call for a reduced rate. Email me and I can tell you more. Next month's call or video is Thursday, April 16th. I'm inviting you to invite anyone who might want to jump on board this game to join us on that call. It's very easy. The phone number, April 16th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is 2015. Don't know when you're listening to this video. You dial in 949-229-4400, and access code is 864-5704. For those of you who don't know, that is a new phone number that we just started using this month in March, okay? It's better recording, better reception for people. I don't have people dropping off, so it's a much better line. Invite everybody to be on. be on that call. The live call has interaction, and then I'll produce a video like this that gets posted online. Oh, by the way, I will cover on the April call a summary of the first 3 core competencies and a little fleshing out more of those 3 together and what it looks like in real life having gotten to that part. Okay? So thank you very, very much for taking the time to be with me on this video. Good day, good week, good year, good life. Namaste.